Hello and welcome to the FTC Robotics Programming tutorial series. My name is Cayden Codel and I'm a programmer for Team 7617 Elemental Fusion, and today we'll be looking into the if statement. So I'm going to start by adding a new class called if statement and then add the public static void main method here. So before we begin typing anything about if statements, we need to understand what it is. So in logic, an if statement takes an expression, a Boolean expression, and evaluates to see if it is true or false. And if it is true, then it will do something. And if it's not true, if it's false, then it will do something else. Sometimes programmers don't specify what they want to do in a false case, but almost always we need to type what we want to do in a true case. So for today, we are going to write a method that evaluates if a number is equal to 2 or 5. So if we get out of the main method, we can say public static Boolean number checker. And then we can pass it an int called number. And then this will check to see if a number is equal to 2 or 5. So this is the basic outline of an if statement. It'll be if, parentheses, and brackets. And inside the parentheses goes your Boolean expression or expressions. So for this case, it will checks if number is 2 or 5. So if it's 2 or 5, then we need to return true. Otherwise, we'll return false. So this will be where 2 or 5 is. So on the inside, if that is true, it'll run inside the braces. We can say return true. And then if we want something to happen, if the above statement doesn't do, we can do else. And surround those in brackets too, so we can return false. Okay, so now to write the actual expression here. So to make a Boolean expression using numbers and strings and such, we use these things called comparators. And the comparators we have available to us, among them, I'm going to write them up here, equals, not equals, greater, less, greater than, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So I can say if 2 is equal to 5, or if number is equal to 2, then return true. There are two different ways to continue from here. We want to check if it's 2 or 5, so we can either add an or statement up here, or we can do an else if. And so for this first part, I'm going to show you the else if. So else, and then if, and then we can say number equals 5. Return true. And so the way if statements run, they go top to bottom. They check the first condition, and if that's not true, then they go on to the next one, and they keep going until they reach the else. However, if the first one is true, then it won't check the rest of them. So if I say if number equals 2, do this, else if number equals 2, do this, then even if number satisfies both of those conditions, it will only run the first one. So now that we know how to do the else if statement, then I can show you how to use or. So if we get rid of this statement here, the way we use or is like that. It's two up and down things. They look kind of like 11, but they're little brackets like this. This is or. And then and is two ampersands, and then not is exclamation mark. And then you use those to conjoin, Boolean expressions. So we can say if number equals 2 or number equals 5. And return true, else return false. So if we say up here int num equals 4 system.out.println number checker num and run it, we will see that it will print false because number 4 does not equal 2 or 5. False. Now, another case is if this is and, of course, if you're evaluating two different numbers, that will never be true. However, for an and statement, if this is true, then it will not. Then it has to check the next statement because the next statement could be false, and then the whole thing would not be true. However, if this first thing is false, then it has no need to check the next one because of the and. And so if the number does not equal 2, then it will just stop and will not evaluate the rest of it. So that's something interesting that programmers use. So if we revert this back to OR, then we have our number checker, false. So let's use some of the other comparators here. So let's do public static boolean number compare, and then that will take num1 and num2, and we're going to return true if num1 is greater than or equal to num2. So as you can see, I kind of wrote the statement out already there. So if num1 is greater than or equal to num2, return true. Else, return false. And then if we do this up here, int num2 is equal to 6, system.out.println number compare num2, you'll see it will also print false because 4 is not greater than or equal to 6. So as you can see, it does print false again. So that's an introduction to the if statement, the else if statement, and then the else. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and happy programming.